It was a normal Sunday when everything fell apart. I never saw it coming. How could I? My daughter, the one I raised, the one I sacrificed everything for, had been hiding something from me for months. And when I found out what it was, it shattered my world. She had an affair with a man I trusted. Someone I called family. And now, after years of silence, she wants back in my life. Can I forgive the unforgivable? Before we dive into this emotional roller coaster, hit that subscribe button. If you've ever felt betrayed by someone you love, or struggled with forgiveness, you need to hear this. Like and comment below. Let me know if you'd forgive someone who hurt you this deeply. Now, let's get into the heart of the story. It wasn't always like this. I can still remember the days when Ashley, my daughter, was the light of my life. She was my little girl, the one who would greet me after work with a smile so bright it could light up a room. She was full of energy, full of questions, full of dreams. And I made sure she had everything she needed to chase those dreams. I worked long hours, sometimes even on weekends, just to provide a better life for her than I had growing up. I thought I was a good father. No, I thought I was the good father, the one who was always there, always supportive, always listening. But the truth was, I had no idea what was happening behind the scenes. I never saw it coming. The first cracks started to show when she hit her late teens. At first, it was subtle, late nights out with her friends, more time spent on her phone, an attitude I couldn't quite pin down. But I brushed it off. She was growing up, finding her own way in the world. It wasn't until much later that I realized the truth of how distant we had become. And then, it happened. I came home one evening after a long day of work, feeling drained, hoping for a quiet dinner with my wife. But when we returned to the house, something felt off. Ashley wasn't in her room, and the house seemed eerily quiet. Then, on the kitchen table, I saw it, her phone, face up, unlocked. Normally, she kept it locked, but not tonight. I knew I shouldn't look. I knew I had no right to invade her privacy. But curiosity, the need for answers, pulled me in. I picked up the phone, unlocked it, and what I saw took my breath away. The screen was filled with text messages. Not just any messages. Flirty, intimate messages between Ashley and David, a family friend I had trusted for years. The messages weren't subtle. They were full of passion, full of secrecy. They shared jokes, memories, and, most damning of all, plans to meet up. At first, I thought I was imagining things. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I felt a cold sweat break out across my back. I scrolled down, my hands shaking, each message more damning than the last. It wasn't just innocent flirting, it was an affair. I felt my stomach drop, a deep sense of betrayal consuming me. How could she do this to me? How could she do this to our family? David, our family friend, was like an uncle to her. We had spent countless holidays together, laughed around the dinner table, shared our most vulnerable moments. And now, he had turned on us. And Ashley? She had crossed a line that I couldn't even comprehend. The betrayal wasn't just that she had the affair, it was the fact that she had been hiding it from me, from her family, from everyone. It was the fact that she had chosen to destroy the trust we had built over the years. It was the fact that I had failed to see it coming. I remember the moment I confronted her like it was yesterday. She tried to deny it at first, tried to make excuses, but I could see the guilt in her eyes. The tears started to fall. But those tears didn't matter. I wasn't going to let her cry her way out of this. "You've ruined everything," I said, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and pain. "How could you betray me like this? How could you betray this family?" She tried to explain, tried to make me understand that it was a mistake. But I couldn't hear it. Not after everything we had been through together. I didn't want to hear her excuses. All I could think about was how deeply she had hurt me. That night, I made the hardest decision of my life. I told her to leave. I couldn't look at her without seeing the betrayal. I told her to go live with her mother, that I couldn't do this anymore. She begged me to stay, begged me to forgive her, but I couldn't. The damage was done. 4 months, we didn't speak. I didn't know how to fix things. My heart ached, but I felt betrayed. I spent months wrestling with myself, with a rage that consumed me every time I thought about what she had done. I wasn't just angry at her, I was angry at myself. How had I failed to see it? How had I failed to protect my family from this kind of pain? But there was another part of me, a part that still loved her despite everything. I was her father. She was my daughter. And deep down, I knew that no matter how much she had hurt me, I still wanted her in my life. But how could I ever trust her again? How could I ever forgive her? It wasn't just about her, it was about me too. The anger, the pain, the betrayal, it was eating me alive. I couldn't go on like this. I had to make a choice. Could I forgive her? Could I let go of my pain and open my heart to her again? And then, the message came. Dad, I know I hurt you. I know I've made terrible mistakes, but I want to come home. Please, can we talk? The words sat there on my screen, taunting me. I didn't know what to feel. Part of me wanted to rage at her all over again, to tell her to leave me alone. But another part of me, the part of me that was still her father, wanted to take her in my arms and forgive her. Could I do it? Could I let her back in? I didn't know the answer. All I knew was that the decision was mine to make. But how could I even begin to process it? It was late one evening when I decided I needed to meet her. After days of going back and forth in my head, the decision was made. I couldn't live in limbo forever. If I was ever going to move forward, I needed to know whether I could really forgive her, or if I had to let her go for good. I called her. It wasn't easy, but I did it. Can we meet? I asked, my voice rough. We need to talk. She agreed without hesitation. We set a time for the next evening. When I saw her walking up the driveway that evening, a wave of emotions hit me all at once. Ashley, my daughter, was standing there. She looked different, older, more mature, and there was something else, too. Regret. Shame. She wasn't the confident, rebellious teenager who had walked out of my life. She was a woman now, one who had clearly suffered in ways I couldn't fully understand. But as much as I wanted to stay angry, I couldn't help but feel something else, something softening inside me. It was like a dam holding back a flood of emotion, and I wasn't sure how much longer I could keep it in check. We sat down in the living room, the room that had been so full of laughter and life just a few years ago. Now, it felt cold, heavy, as if the walls were pressing in on us. She sat across from me, her hands nervously twisting in her lap. I could see the tears welling in her eyes, but I didn't want to let myself be swayed by them. Not yet. I don't even know where to start, she said, her voice cracking. Dad, I am so sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know how much I regret what I did. I felt a lump form in my throat. I wanted to yell at her, tell her how much she had hurt me. But I didn't. I stayed silent, letting her speak. She continued, "It was never about you. It was never about the family. I was lost. I was looking for something, anything to fill the emptiness I felt. And David, he was there. He filled that void, at least temporarily. But I see now how much I've hurt you. I see now how much I've destroyed." Her words hit me hard. It was one thing to feel betrayed. It was another to hear the depth of her remorse. For the first time, I saw her as a human being who had made a terrible mistake, not just as a daughter who had let me down. She had been vulnerable, too. "I don't expect you to take me back," she whispered. "But I need to make it right. I need to do whatever it takes to rebuild what I've broken." As she spoke, I couldn't help but feel torn. There was a part of me that wanted to forgive her, wanted to believe that people could change. But there was another part of me, one that was still so wounded, that didn't know if I could ever look at her the same way again. I thought about all the years we had spent together. I thought about how, for so long, she had been my world. I had protected her, raised her, and loved her. I had given everything I had, and in return, she had shattered my trust in a way that felt irreparable. But then I thought about what forgiveness really meant. Was it about excusing her actions? No. It was about healing, about freeing myself from the chains of bitterness. And if I couldn't forgive her, I would never be free. I would carry that pain with me forever. After a long pause, I spoke. "Ashley," I said, my voice steady but full of emotion, "this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. You've hurt me more than I can express. But I also know that holding on to this anger will only destroy me." She looked up at me, hope flickering in her eyes. "So, do you forgive me?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I took a deep breath. "I can't say it's going to be easy. Trust takes time, and you've broken something between us that can't be fixed overnight. But yes, I will try. I will try to forgive you. Because you're my daughter, and I love you." Tears started to fall down her cheeks, but this time, they weren't tears of guilt or regret. They were tears of relief, of hope. The next few months were not easy. Rebuilding trust isn't something that happens overnight, and forgiveness is not an instant fix. We took small steps. Ashley and I spent time together, talking about everything and nothing. It was awkward at first, but each day, it got a little easier. There were still moments when the past would rear its ugly head, and I would feel that pang of betrayal, but I reminded myself that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means moving forward with a new understanding. There were times when Ashley would apologize again, and I would reassure her that it was okay. I knew she had learned from her mistakes. I could see it in her actions, the way she tried harder, the way she respected my boundaries, the way she worked to regain my trust. It wasn't perfect, and there were days when I thought about the past and felt angry all over again. But the difference was that now, I was choosing to let go of that anger. I was choosing to heal. One day, a few months later, Ashley and I were sitting on the porch together, watching the sun set. It was peaceful, comfortable. For the first time in a long while, I felt like we were family again. "I don't think I'll ever be able to make up for what I did," she said, breaking the silence. "But I just want you to know that I'm truly sorry. I've changed, Dad. I'm not that girl anymore." I looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time in a long while, I saw not just my daughter, but the woman she had become, the one who had learned, who had grown, and who had truly changed. "You don't have to make up for it," I replied. "You've already started to. Just by being here, by being real with me. Forgiveness is never easy. It's one of the hardest things a person can do. But in the end, it's the only way to move forward. Not just for the person who hurt you, but for yourself too. Holding on to anger, to resentment, only weighs you down. And if you want peace, if you want healing, you have to let it go. So, what do you think? Could you ever forgive someone who hurt you this deeply? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about forgiveness, redemption, and healing.